driving along the road doing on a work trip. So sometimes I'll be able to communicate with you all on a regular basis. Other days I cannot because I'm on the road and I'm driving, unless you want to see me driving, which could be kind of exciting as well. I used to actually drive a Mercedes Sprinter, and we would have like an area where I could hold the phone. But if I start talking to you, then the little machine would start saying distracted, distracted. So that wouldn't be great for the video. But while I have a few moments and I'm not the driver, I just wanted to join you guys and talk about a topic that affects all of us for single parent superstars. So again, Sonia Gallion-Kamenika here, and the author of 10 Things I Wish I Knew as a Single Parent. We're talking about all things single parents. And my goal is really to educate the parents so to make the kids safe. And one of the things about making kids safe is as they get older, they start dating. Have any of you had an experience with either your teenage kids dating, your young adult kids, or even in their 30s dating, and the relationship is not what you planned it to be? The person either isn't the same way they appeared to be when you first met, or they were the same way, but you were making excuses for the behavior, and now you're kind of in the thick of it. Either you're in love, you've already had an intimate relationship, or you're living together, or some other way you've entangled yourself with somebody who you really didn't know very well in the beginning. Are any of you having that experience? Well, pull up your chair, get your coffee and tea and your muffin or whatever, because you're probably going to experience that at some point in your life. Your kids are going to grow up and it's going to be out of your control. They are going to have a relationship, and it might be somebody you approve of at first, and then maybe later it's going to be somebody you don't approve of. So what do you do in that situation? Well, hopefully you've had very good conversations in relationship with your children all along, so that who they get into a relationship with, it matters what your opinion is. So they come to you, they introduce this person, and they ask you for advice. If for some reason they've gotten involved with somebody who's kind of love bombing them or made them think that they are the greatest thing, on the planet, and that you don't need anybody else but them, well, then that's going to be a challenge to get your children out of that relationship. But in the meantime, what are some steps we can do in the very beginning? Well, when they're young, we can start teaching them about the opposite sex. We can start teaching them what are some behaviors that people do. For instance, when the guys like the girls, they have a tendency to, act a little different around them when they're young. Maybe they throw a ball at them, or they can be a little mean to them or something like that when they're younger. As they get into about the teen years, they might just start playing with their hair or acting a little weird around them. So you just don't know. Hi, Jane. Thanks for joining me this morning. Sonia driving along the road. Well, I'm not driving, I'm riding. I appreciate you being here. But as the kids get a little bit older, then things change. So today we're just going to kind of talk about, for those of you who are just joining now, just kind of talking about the whole dating experience with kids and when you're a single parent, because it can be very challenging. Appreciate you. Good. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments on the live stream. What do you do when your kids start getting into relationships and the relationships are difficult? It can be really challenging. So we're going to start with what you can do when they're young. When they're young, teach them together, to play together, to get along together. Let the boys start learning how the girls behave. Let the girls start learning how the boys behave. Maybe they're a little more rough. Maybe the girl's a little more feminine. I don't know. But you want to show them, let them play together in a safe spot, maybe at your home, at the school. Thank you, Jane. Appreciate you. Or is it Jarl? I'm sorry, I'm calling you Jane. Jarl. Sorry about that, but I appreciate you. Let them know, see the different behaviors, because I think sometimes when they're in isolation, they don't know how to interact with one another. But if they interact with one another, they learn the behaviors. As they get old, and it helps if you've got boys and girls in the same home. Thank you, Charles. If you have them in the same home and they learn how to interact with one another. Maybe the boys are opening the doors for their sister. Maybe they're closing those and pulling out her chair for her. They're being kinder to their sister. Teach them in the home early on how to interact with one another, so that when they go out into the world, it's not this big surprise. Hi, Mano. Great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you so much. So that they learn to interact with each other in the home setting. Maybe the girls learn how to prepare a meal for their brothers. I don't know, for dad, that sort of thing. They learn how to interact with each other, male, female. It makes it a lot easier when they grow up. Because one of the things I'm finding is when the males and the females get together as adults, they've had no real preparation as young people. So they're not being socialized together, so they can't interact with each other properly. So it's very important that we teach them at a young age to be respectful. We let them know it's okay if the boys are a little bit stronger. That's okay. Maybe they can lift up something a little bit heavier. We don't have to do everything, because in a single parent household, we've probably created some sort of behaviors within our children where they don't understand that there is a difference between the male and the female behavior, and that it's perfectly fine. For the boys, maybe they want to be a little bit more understanding to their sisters, to their daughter, because they have their menstrual cycle, or they have other things that go on with them emotionally and physically, that we want to show a level of kindness to them. And the more we can actually teach them, the better. So once we get past that phase, if you don't have boys and girls within the same home, that's perfectly fine. When they go to the gym, when they're going to school, we want to teach them to treat each other with respect and with kindness, so that they learn how to interact with each other as they get older. Now we're going to move a little bit into the teenage years. When they're in the teenage years, we want to be very careful how we're socializing them. Obviously, the gals are developing certain areas on their body, the boys are developing, and they're both getting in kind of a high intensity mode of wanting to be together. We're just going to put it that way, in a kind of a kind way. So we want to teach them to still be ladies and the men to be gentlemen. How do you do that? Well, we don't allow the girls to start screaming at the boys, obviously. We don't want that to ever happen, because that's not how you interact with somebody. And these are the behaviors we want to teach, of course, within the school. Thank you, Jura. I appreciate your kind words. I like you too. We want to teach them to interact with each other with respect. So we don't want the girls screaming at the boys. I don't care if you're having a rough day, if you're having a menstrual cycle, that doesn't matter. We talk to each other with kindness. Believe me, this stuff carries over into adulthood. The boys, yes, you're a little bit stronger, but we don't want to be rough with our sisters and punching them and hitting them and fighting with them the way we do with our boys. We want to teach our young boys to treat our gals kindly. They're sisters. You can't be in each other's bedrooms. We're obviously not sharing the same bedroom. The girls might need a little bit more time, maybe in the bathroom, that sort of thing. That's perfectly fine. Hey, Nero, how are you? You do something in the metro. Okay, wonderful. Nice to meet you. We want to teach them to interact like human beings with one another, and that's really lacking these days, at a time when the girls maybe are feeling like they're just like the guys and they can say whatever they want, and they're cursing each other out. Maybe we're seeing it in videos, or we're watching Survivor and they're like, yeah, I can survive too. You can, but do it like a lady, because I'm telling you, this stuff happens a lot later in life too. Girls martial arts, we're teaching our young men martial arts as well. So we might think that means we don't have to be ladies or gentlemen, but that's not what it's teaching you. It's teaching you to be a leader. It's teaching you to serve. It's teaching you to, yes, be able to defend yourself, but also you want to be able to show compassion as well. The goal is not to get into a fight. The goal is to protect yourself in the event of a fight. So I'm noticing more and more in the schools, the kids are getting severely disrespectful. Oh, thank you, Jaro. You're amazing. I appreciate you. I'm noticing more and more that the children are getting so disrespectful. They're disrespectful to teachers. I'm sure most of this is coming from the home life, but they're disrespectful to teachers. They're disrespectful to each other. And so when they're coming together in relationships, it is a very scary situation. So we got to start it in the home. Single parents. One of the things I taught you in my last live video was that by working all the time, rush, you're actually creating a situation within the home where the kids are not able to function properly. They're not able to self-soothe. They're not able to relax. They're not able to interact with people in a human way. And the way you interact with somebody in a human way is how you communicate with them. So, calmness, of course, once I'm going to tell you that again. Calmness, relaxation, and not rushing all the time creates children who also know how to stay calm and relax also. So as we're moving into the dating, as they're getting to teenage, and maybe we're allowing them to go to proms, into formals, into things like that, how do they interact with each other? Is it about just putting on a nice dress? Is it about just showing up in a tux? Yes, those things are important too. But the most important thing is the interaction. We don't want the girls allowing themselves to be hurt by their whoever they're with, they're dating or they're getting to know, because they are not behaving like ladies. And I know it sounds like maybe that's 50s or 60s, but I'm telling you, behaving like a lady is one of the best things you can do to protect yourself, women, when you're in relationships. And for men, treating a woman like a lady helps you to kind of control some of that male energy and not be so dominant all the time, because actually the calmer you behave, the kinder you behave, the better you both feel. So they're going out, maybe they're getting dressed, they're going to a formal, maybe they feel better, because they're friends or they're with each other, but we want them to be able to interact in a way that they are ready for adult relationships. So many today are not ready for adult relationships. So many are in and out of relationships as young people, as teenagers, and it's actually really scary. I have grandchildren also. It's a very scary thing to watch. They don't even know how to have a relationship, and they think they're in one. So how do they interact together and have fun? And there's a difference. Well, one of the first things you can do is maybe create activities like volleyball, where everybody can interact together. Everyone has a role. Maybe you're the server. Maybe you're in the front. Maybe you're spiking the ball. Learn through play. So we learn that we all need to do this together. We all need to work together. And when we interact with each other, we respect each other's limitations. That could be a physical strength thing. It could be an emotional thing. I don't know, but certain team sports allow you to respect one another. And we want our children, our young people, to respect one another when they're getting into relationships. So again, back to the prom. So now they're going out, they're dating, you're allowing them to date, that sort of thing. So how do they have interaction without causing harm to one another? Well, hopefully it started in the home already, but if it didn't, you must encourage the girls to respect themselves. How do you respect yourself? You're not giving yourself away on the first. You don't have to kiss anybody on the first night. You don't just move in with somebody. You don't do the same thing sometimes that guys can do, because you don't have the same thinking that a guy does. You need to recognize we're very emotional as women, and that is going to impact how we interact with other people. Men, maybe not so much on the emotion, more team action focus. And you got to respect that about each, because each has a great function and each is necessary. So as the men are more team focused and the women are a little more in the emotional, that doesn't mean both are not intellectual. It just means we have certain characteristics about women or certain things that are characteristics about men. That's all it means. Nevertheless, so when they're going to do different activities together, we honor the fact that she is a lady, and we honor the fact that he is a gentleman, and we treat them accordingly. Yes, sir. No, sir. No, ma'am. We can even shake hands. We can hug, but we want to treat each other kindly and with respect. Okay? And then we're going to move into the young adult years and the dating, where everybody thinks we're equal. You're going out. Women think they can drink as much as men. Men think, I don't know. I hope they know that they're men and not women. But even if they don't, they're coming together and they have no clue how to interact with each other. And it's our job as parents, and especially if you're a single parent, to help them understand the best way to interact with each other. And that could just start with a conversation. How about just having a friend? And hopefully you guys' signals are okay. I know I'm on the road, so it might be a little, spotty. But I'll save this for you later. You'll be able to just, download it. But anyway, how do they interact when they're actually out there dating as young adults? Well, we get together. We don't use a dating app. No, we're not looking for Tinder to find our next date. If you want to hook up, I wouldn't recommend it, especially for women, because women, it really has a long-lasting impact on you when you just kind of get involved with a guy for the night, as opposed to having a long-term relationship. Guys might be able to do that, and they might not even care if they do it the next day, but women, it's really not recommended. So recognizing you're not equal. You don't have to be equal. Why do you have to be equal? You were not born that way. We were created differently, and we can be different people. So come together, allow him to be a gentleman. Let him open the door for you. Let him pull out the chair for you. Let him honor you. If he's not doing that stuff in the very beginning, the chances of him doing it later are probably slim to none. I know everyone believes they're equal now. I don't need a guy to pull out my chair for me or open my door, but you really do, because it actually helps the man to calm down and to become more of a gentleman. You're actually helping him hone in on his male energy and become more kind, because I don't think they will be kind without a reason. So having their mothers around, having their sisters around, having female friends, they begin to see how the other side behaves. And they can see that even if we're accomplishing the same task, it might be a little different. My husband is very strong. He is able to lift up large things that perhaps I cannot sometimes, but there are heavy things that I can lift. So I'm not completely helpless. And it's true for most women. Nobody is completely helpless, but we do have limitations. And when we honor those limitations, we are actually honoring ourselves and we are honoring our relationships. And when male and female come together, they are creating a situation where they honor and respect each other. What's happening is people are coming together in the bars, and they have not developed any social skills a lot of times, and they're just getting together and it's turning into a hookup session. In a hookup session, it will have lasting impact on both of you, but especially on the ladies. So we want to come together in a way that honors each other, okay? I recognize there are needs. There are stores created for those needs. In the meantime, we want to come together as a unit. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot more single parents out there, because people are just coming together and their intentions are not good, and we're not able to interact well with one another. So what do? First thing, again, the respect, I mentioned that before, but when you come to a date, are you bringing something to the table? Do you have anything that would make you even a valuable partner? And I know that might sound unfair, but really, there's no reason to be in a relationship if you're not both benefiting from the relationship. So whether that's business, whether that's a relationship, whatever, you want to be able to bring something to the table. So ideally, both people have their own home to live in. You could be living with your parents. That's perfectly okay. A lot of people do that. Many cultures like that until they're married. But are you contributing something? Are you at least paying your parents some rent? Are you doing anything? Do you have your own job? Do you have your own vehicle? Because when you come together and all you're doing is jumping from your parents' home into your home, into another person's home, you have not developed the social skills or the maturity to be able to be in a relationship. Hi there, Araman. If I've said that wrong, Raman Surmo, nice to meet you. Where am I from? I'm right from the United States. I was born in Pennsylvania, but thanks for asking. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Excuse me. Sorry. So when you come together, you need to have that level of respect for one another. So you don't, obviously we're not looking at Tinder or Plenty of Fish or any of these like hookup apps, because we want something that's going to bring us together. You can do that stuff, but I'm telling you, it's going to have long-term consequences on your psyche and on your finding the right person. So what are you bringing to the table? Do you even have a job? If you're going from your parents' house, no job, you're not carrying a relationship with somebody. You need to actually get them first, to know yourself well enough, find out what it is that you are interested in. So before you would even jump into dating, when he's doing it, you want to know who you are. What is it about you that makes you special? Do you even know who you are? What do you enjoy? Do you know what your favorite breakfast is? Do you know where your favorite place is to travel? What's your favorite place to shop at? Do you go out and give in the community? Or are you looking for somebody else to do for you what you are supposed to be doing for yourself? Have you even figured that out? How do you even know what the right person is to look for if you yourself don't even know who you are? Do you have a strong sense of self? Do you have an identity that identifies with who you are saying you are? There are people, I was just talking to my husband a few minutes ago. He knew somebody, and this person would go out and buy $700 pairs of jeans when that's not even who he is. Or you just try to me so that we can have a relationship. Not wise. You want to be yourself, because why would you want to get into a relationship with somebody who doesn't even know the real you? You're never going to like them or respect them because they don't know you, and apparently you don't know yourself either. This kind of stuff, these things will prepare you and prevent single parenthood. Some single parenthood is inevitable. People are going to pass away. Things happen. Like I met somebody. She became a single parent of 2 twins because her husband was killed in a motorcycle accident. Sometimes it's unavoidable. There's nothing you can do. But to prevent a lot of these relationships from morphing into single parenthood, you really got to identify who you are. And then when you look for somebody, you're less likely to be taken advantage of or get involved with somebody that's not, the right person for you, because now you know who you are and you know what you're looking for. See how simple that is? I need some water. If you know who you are and they know who they are and you come together, you have 2 whole people coming together. But what's happening right now is a lot of halves, maybe even quarters, because people are so broken. And single parenthood, unfortunately, it causes a lot of this brokenness in families. It's unfortunate, but it does happen. It causes maybe the children to not have a strong sense of self unless they have maybe grandparents around or somebody else who can guide them. And for those of you who are grandparents, you got a tall order. You have a responsibility to that generation to guide them and to help them be the best that they can possibly be. So as they're meeting, they're in the club or whatever, how about we change up where we meet people? I know going to the club can be fun. I'm not a drinker or anything, but it is fun to go dance and do a little bit here and there. But instead of that, maybe we're meeting at a walk. Maybe we're meeting at a Target. Maybe we're meeting at a Walmart. Maybe we're meeting at the mall. Something simple, something easy that doesn't require so much activity and energy and doesn't require so much fakeness, I guess, because you want to go in being yourself. The best version of you is the best version of you. Just be yourself. That doesn't mean you show up, you don't brush your teeth and brush your hair and you wear clothes you've been wearing for 2 days. No, don't do that. Show up, be the best version of you. But if they don't like who the best version of you is, don't worry about it. You still be who you are. Enjoy yourself, enjoy your life. Because when you meet somebody and you've enjoyed yourself, you enjoy your life, that's the best way, because now you're totally yourself. You're totally you. And you can be happy at the same time. What's happening is a lot of couples are coming together and they don't like themselves. And then when they get involved with somebody else, they don't like this person either. Because how can you like somebody when you don't even like yourself? And then you're bringing children into the situation and you don't know who you are, you don't like yourself. And the next thing you know, you've got a disaster on your hands. So come in. Start the kids out young. If you're a single parent, do the best that you can. Try to surround them with people who really love them and appreciate them, and make sure you're loving yourself as well, so that you can come together and you can create as whole a children as possible. The statistics are showing that when the father is a single father, the kids have a tendency to do a lot better long term than they do with just being raised by a single mother. But whoever is raising them, for whatever the situation is, try to teach them to honor each other's differences, to love each other as they are, so that when they get older, it doesn't become this huge shock. Let them see all the variety of emotions that go on in your household, whether it's your monthly situation, maybe you're feeling sad about a situation, maybe you're happy about a situation. Allow them to experience the various emotions. Don't be afraid of sharing your true self within your home, with your family, so that they can understand these things are normal. What's happening is people are going out, getting into relationships, and then they're seeing a side of that person they never saw before. That person, it's always been there. It's just maybe you didn't see it because you're out on a date, you're at the club, you're at the bar or something, and you're not seeing the genuine side of that person. But when you get into settings that identify who you really are, settings such as a Target, a Walmart, a Starbucks, somewhere where you're doing everyday stuff. Maybe everybody should start dating by going grocery shopping together. I think that would be fantastic. You really get to see what somebody's like when they're in the supermarket. Maybe you should watch laundry together on your first date. An hour together will really show us who you truly are. So just be there, be yourself. Try to honor the differences between the male, the female. It's really wonderful. And it's really wonderful when you can allow each other to be themselves. So what happens if you're already in a situation, you're already dating something, you're in love, you're living together, you're doing everything I just told you is not a good thing? Well, I would recommend you get out of the living together situation as quickly as possible. Not a good thing. In fact, women are more likely to be physically assaulted in that sort of cohabiting together than in any other scenario. So if you can avoid that, please do. Some people, I've heard of people who've rented out rooms, the opposite sex, for a variety of reasons. They're in the military or whatever, and it's worked just fine. So use your best judgment, but typically it is not the best way. If you're already in that situation, you're probably going to need to get some form of help or therapy for that situation, because it's probably already devastating. If you met in some random way, it was not intentional, you don't have your life together, it's going to take a lot of work for you guys to be together and to get through this. So you're probably going to need some form of therapy. If you already have children in this situation and you didn't know who you are, it's going to be even more devastating than if you were by yourself. But there is hope. There's always hope. It starts with telling the truth. Telling the truth about who you are, telling the truth about who they are, telling the truth about what you want, telling the truth about your ideas, telling the truth about the current situation and how you would like the situation to be different. Do you have any ideas? Are there things you haven't said that maybe you should have said within your relationship that would probably improve it? Maybe you need to put your foot down. I don't know. You might have to move out of that situation in order to improve it, because people typically don't change unless there's some form of punishment or reward. But punishment has always been the best way to get people to change. So you probably are going to have to change the situation. If you stay in the situation and think it's going to change, that would be the definition of insanity. Does everybody know the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. It doesn't change a thing. In fact, it's probably going to continue or get worse. But what can you do? Like I said, maybe you need to pull yourself out of the situation. It depends on what the situation is. Maybe you need to get therapy. Maybe you need to just put your foot down. I don't know. It's going to depend on, each scenario is going to be a little bit different. So if you have questions, you're welcome to send me in a question, comment. I would be happy to answer them. Happy to chat with you all. I'm so grateful for each one of you. Jarl, Nero, Araman, I appreciate all of you for being here today. You guys are a blessing. Remember, if you can, take a look at the book that I wrote for you all, 10 Things I Wish I Knew as a Single Parent, Sonia Gallion Kamenika, and I hope you all have an amazing day. Thank you so much. I'll try not to have so many videos when I'm on the road, but I'm on the road a lot, so you're probably going to get a lot of videos on the road. Best wishes. Have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.